My name is Rich O'Brien, Richobrien.
Okay, tell me a little bit about how you know Fred.
I met Fred 4.5 years ago. I attend Summerbrook Community Church, and I was overcoming an injury myself where I had a broken neck in 2 places, 4 skull fractures, broke my back in 2 places, tore up my shoulder, had brain damage in every lobe of my brain, had the equivalent of a stroke and an aneurysm. And about a month and a half after my accident, I struggled to walk up to Summerbrook Community Church, is where we go. It was a half mile from my house, and that was the farthest I could walk. And believe it or not, the first person I met was Fred Gutierrez. It was kind of an immediate thing. We were kindred spirits, 2 of us very much hurt, and I guess we recognize the signature of God when you see it firsthand. And we became very good friends, and about 16 months ago, he asked me if I thought he could learn how to golf again. And I said, I'll help you any way I can if you want to give it a try. And it was a good way for him to get some exercise, to get in better shape. And it was kind of interesting. And I hadn't really done anything on that until August of last year when we had our member guest. And I thought, some things are more important than winning a member guest. And I invited Fred to come be my guest for the member guest. And it was kind of an amazing thing. He talked about it earlier with he could only walk 8 holes at the time, then he had to shuffle and we needed to take a cart. But playing on a weekly basis thereafter, he got stronger, he could go farther, he could go faster. We got to the point where we can play a round of golf now in 3.5 hours, which is very fast for anybody walking. So it's kind of an amazing thing. And then March 5th, he walked 36 holes. That was quite an amazing thing, amazing feat for anybody. And while cameras were rolling, he shot 85 that day. And with media there giving interviews all day long, it was really, as an instructor, it was an amazing thing to watch. But to be part of it, because I was playing the 36 holes with him, and I was his opponent, I was his caddy, I was his mentor, I was his coach, his PR agent. It was kind of a crazy day, but it's been a crazy process throughout. But very enjoyable and very fulfilling. That's a great question, because teaching somebody with one arm is totally different than teaching somebody that's not disabled. Fred only had the use of his right arm and leg, and he really couldn't shift a lot of weight. So for Fred, all we really could do is work on his grip, where we got the grip in his fingers, which helped him hit the ball straighter. And then the other thing is I instructed him to keep his hands finishing high at the finish, which worked really well with a lot of his praise and worship stuff, where he's got his hands lifted high, and that worked out very well as far as that goes. So really, from a standpoint there was only the 2 things we could work on from a golf swing perspective. Then we got him to work on his putting and his chipping quite a bit, and he loved his putting and chipping, and he works harder on his short game than anybody I know. And most of his improvement from a physical side has come from working on his putting and his chipping. And he went from 108 down to about 95 or so, just working on that. And then in January, I gave him a set of copies of the Bob Rotella sports psychology CDs, and we went through those on a weekly basis, and he absorbs information like a sponge, and he can quote all the information from these CDs, and some of the great things that are in there also have helped him with his PTSD and quieted his mind, helps him stay in the present, stay focused on what he's doing, task at hand, and some of that stuff is amazing. And we've been in contact with Dr. David Cook and Dr. Bob Rotella about that, and sent them the progress report on Fred, and they love the story too.